So once upon a time I made an EP with some friends as a part of a college project when I was on a music course. And while we were making that EP, I also made a documentary film about us making that EP. It was our end of year project, and just before we started, we were asked to help clear out some basement that was underneath the stage. And when we were down there, we found like a treasure trove of old school hardware, synthesizers, effects units, the works, right? So we wanted to make our EP using only all of the hardware that we'd found. So we asked some of our lecturers, and they gave us a storage room that wasn't being used where we could build a studio. And so we built the studio and started making music. And I just started filming bits and bobs that we were doing, just as evidence really for like coursework and stuff, just some extra bits that we can hand in. And that eventually turned into a documentary film. I would come in every day and film everything that we were doing, and then I would go home and I would edit down all of the footage that I had. I'd take it off my iPhone 6, which I was recording it all on, plug it in to my MacBook and shove all the footage in iMovie, edit down the day. And it was a really exhausting experience, really, living a day and then coming home and watching that day back and editing all the footage from the day you just lived. It was a really strange experience. It sent me kind of mad, but I did enjoy it, and it was a labour of love. So anyway, last night I had a stupid idea. I was like, wouldn't it be funny if my film was on Letterboxd, and how would I even do that? Letterboxd, by the way, is a social media app for reviewing and rating films. I don't know why I just assumed that you would know that. I thought to myself, it can't really be that hard. I thought maybe there'd be a feature in Letterboxd where you could add to the database and, edit and submit films that don't have a lot of information on them or have never been submitted before. And what I found is that there is actually a feature like this, just not within Letterboxd. It sent me to a website called the Movie Database, and that's where Letterboxd gets all of its information from. So I went over to the Movie Database and I started making a profile for my film. It's called Femboy Beatmaking, The Making of Trout Jazz, if you're interested. It's on YouTube. I'll chuck a link in the description. And the EP that it's, chronicles the making of is called Trout Jazz Volume 1 by Gerbil. But yeah, so I make an account and I start making a profile for my film. But just before I start making the profile, I look through their guidelines to see what is and what isn't eligible. The first thing that kind of pissed me off a little bit was their guidelines are called like something Bible. It's like the eligibility Bible or the authentication Bible or something like that. They refer to their own set of rules as a Bible, which is, that speaks for itself really. It's pretentious as fuck. And I go on there, and there was this huge list of rules. It was something of a Bible. And I scroll down to what was relevant to me, and that's about amateur films, and that it says it generally doesn't allow amateur films. The main sort of points of eligibility are it needs to have been either published by a company or released in a theatre of some sorts. And that really annoyed me, because preservation of art is actually something that's very important to me, and I try to I try to purchase as much physical media as I can if I like something, because I just think it's important to keep a record of things and just have things backed up, really. For a lot of music and films, that's like physical formats, right? And for my film, it would be having it on the database, so that if for whatever reason that it disappears off YouTube one day, there's a record that it exists and that it happened somewhere. Just that's not what it's for. What it's for is it's fun. Wouldn't it be fun if my film was on the fucking film, the movie database, right? Because why does it matter if it's on there, first of all? nobody. It's not bothering anyone by being there, by just an arbitrary stamp saying yes, this is a real film because this fucking website said it is. But it annoyed me for a reason that's bigger than that. I really dislike that it's for a film to, in the eyes of this website anyway, for a film to be real and count and be able to be considered among other productions on the movie database, it has to have been published and have been shown in a theatre. Amateur films don't count. I think it's fucking insulting, to be honest. And it's not like I'm outraged as though I'm a filmmaker and that it's hurting my ability to do my job. But I'm not a filmmaker, but as someone who does make their own art, and I suppose what you call an amateur level, it's insulting. It really is insulting, because why should your artistic ideas be less valuable than others because they just have the money to realize them? The way that they keep the website in order is that they have moderators, right, who moderate the database and scour submissions to make sure that nothing that they deem illegible is slipping through the cracks, right? They have people whose role is to just scour the database for submissions and make sure that no student is trying to just get their film recognized on the database and just literally for them have it be a real film, just so we can have an IMDb page or something. And I think that's awful. I think that's terrible. I think it's villainous. Maybe I'm just salty because I lost a good night's sleep making a profile for my film just so I could see it on Letterboxd for maybe a day or two before the submission gets taken down. And then after all that, I realised I checked a tiny little box wrong, classifying the well, not wrong, it's what it is, but classifying the documentary as a video instead of a film, meaning that it won't be submitted to Letterboxd anyway. So that was pretty disheartening. But hey, your student film, your DIY EP is real if people can hear it and people can listen to it. That's the only thing that it needs to be real. It doesn't need to be included in some random fucking meaningless database that just validates that it exists. If you can watch it, if you can see it, if you can feel it, it's real. And the next film that I make will be submitted to the movie database, even if it is just to give some moderator the satisfaction of striking down another independent homemade film. I do plan to make another documentary film because I really do love it. It's not my calling, because my calling is music. That's what I do. But there's a great joy in it for me, and I think I've had the idea to sort of make a documentary about me making music in my car. And I know that sounds a little self-indulgent, but I remember a lot of my friends, when I told them I was about to come out with music, was sort of met with the reaction of, well, I didn't know you made music, because I kept it to myself. Even though I was in bands and stuff, I never really had the courage to do it on my own, so I didn't tell a lot of people. And when I told them, I explained that I was going around, getting all my equipment into my car and just driving to, places like these and recording. And the couple of people who I initially told sort of give me the same reaction of, oh, that's really cool, like, you should make a video about that or something. Not that I make YouTube videos regularly or anything, but they just thought it would be something interesting to see. And initially I was just going to make a simple YouTube video of just like set a camera up in a car and just like show how I do it, just show what the setup looks like and have that be that. But I've kind of had an idea. I've had to turn that into something of a little documentary maybe. So I'm gonna be doing that while I work on my next EP. And I'm sure a lot of the creation of that will be in this documentary. I think that's my goal for this year now, is to make and release both my next EP and maybe a documentary as well, just because I think they're fun to make. But yeah, Shibbler in 2024 is gonna... We've got some plans. See you in a bit.
I won.